Now, the latest developments in the investigation into the attack on the Capitol. Today, investigators actually questioned a member of former President Trump's family, Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner. ABC Chief Washington correspondent John Carl joining us now with the latest. John, you reported in your book, as we have talked a lot about betrayal, that Kushner avoided the White House on January 6th after traveling back from Saudi Arabia because he thought he would get in a fight. That's the quote from the president. I remember from your book. Tell us the backstory again for our viewers about that and what you think he could actually contribute within his testimony, or what he did contribute in his testimony.
Well, as just a short while ago, the testimony was still ongoing, going longer than expected. The only word we had heard is there were apparently more than a few times where he did not recall what was his answer to questions. But Kushner is an interesting case in all of this because he was the key player in the president's campaign in terms of the inner circle. He wasn't the campaign manager, but he might as well have been. Really steered the campaign, the immediate efforts after the election, but then he sort of disappeared. He told people in the White House that once Rudy Giuliani came in the effort to overturn the election, he didn't think it was particularly serious, so he was going to focus on finishing up the Middle East peace deal, you know, the Abraham Accords that he had been instrumental in pulling together, and was nowhere to be found out at campaign headquarters or involved in any of those legal challenges, all those crazy meetings that were happening in the White House. And as you mentioned, as I report on January 6th, he was actually, for most of the day, was on a flight coming back from Saudi Arabia. And when he landed back in the D.C. area, he decided to go home and not to go to the White House. Now, what he has said is that the Secret Service said things are pretty, the riot was ongoing, but it was on the... And he suggested the Secret Service had said to stay clear. But I reported that he told a member of Congress that he did not want to go back to the White House that day because he thought he would just end up, fighting with the president about what was going on. He didn't, apparently, at least he told people, he didn't have faith in this effort to overturn the election. He didn't think that it was going anywhere, and he stayed clear of it. So what they're going to talk to him about, I assume they'll want to ask him, exactly that, what he made of all this effort and, where he thought it went off the rails, and if he has any insight into the president's thinking and why he went the direction he went that culminated in January 6th.
And who else is the committee hoping to hear from in the next few weeks, John?
Well, they've got a wide range. They've already heard from several hundred different people, including, very close associates of the president, but there are two people that they have not heard from yet. One is Vice President Mike Pence, and the other is former President Donald Trump. And two big lingering questions is will they secure an agreement to hear Pence's testimony? I think that's somewhat doubtful. I don't think Pence has an interest in going before the committee. He's said what he has said about his role on January 6th, but those discussions are ongoing, and that is a possibility if not a great likelihood. And the committee has not made a decision about whether or not to call in Donald Trump. Some have argued that you're doing an investigation ultimately of Trump. Really, that's the ultimate goal of this investigation, is to find out his role in what happened. And you've got to call ultimately the main guy. So we'll see. But those are the big questions remaining, Kira.
Well, and there's a lot of questions also remaining with regard to filling the gaps in those White House telephone logs to figure out who the president was speaking to as the insurrection unfolded. Why has that been so difficult? Because we talked a lot about the fact that there was this apparent phone call with his top advisor, Mark Meadows. Mark Meadows was trying to get him to say something to stop what was happening. So why has this been so tough to get the logs?
Well, this was a president who, frankly, didn't see the importance or the legal responsibility of keeping accurate White House records. We know he's ripped up records. We know he took boxes of records with him to Mar-a-Lago when he left the White House that were supposed to be destined to the National Archives. And the truth is that when it came to phone calls, he often used a private personal cell phone or the phones of his aides, and didn't keep records of those the way every presidential communication is supposed to be recorded. So that's why there's a 7-hour gap. He was probably, we don't know, but either using a personal cell phone or using somebody else's phone. But we know he had conversations while that riot was going on. We know it because the others who spoke to him have talked about it publicly.
Is that your next book, The 7-Hour Gap?
The 7-hour gap. With Nixon, there was only 18 minutes, Kira. This is 7 hours. So
we saw how saucy that was. You've got a series of books on the 7-hour gap, John.
There you go. There you go.
John Carl, appreciate it. And if you haven't read Betrayal, better pick it up now.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.